guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about some of the more advanced and expert level, well maybe not even expert level techniques that we haven't already covered before in the previous videos. So the first thing I want to talk about, I think I talked about it in one of the previous videos very briefly, but um, the first thing you want to do when you start the deathmatch game is queue villagers in the black screen. So again, hopefully you guys understand what that means, but in between the time where you see like kind of the tannish screen and the actual game screen, there's a black screen. And during that time there, you can actually queue villagers. So if you press the town center button and then press like the hotkey for the villagers, you can kill or queue two villagers before you even start the game, which is what you're usually going to want to do. And then we did talk about from there whether or not you want to build the three stables and send the scout out, or send the scout out then build the three stables. But so hopefully you guys understand that's when you should be queuing the villagers, and then you can fully queue the town center after you've laid down the three stables and sent your scout out. Right, then you can go back and queue the town center. Um, don't forget to queue the town center, because if you do, then you're gonna have like 5 villagers, and it's gonna be tough to start. Um, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is advanced building technique. And there's really two ways that people build the buildings. They either build them, they set down all the frames at once, or they set down the frames individually um, with villagers near the, well, so here, let me show you. Actually, it's a good example. So here we have True and Jibda, two of the best players in Deathmatch. And you'll see here, I think True is going to put down the frames first, then send the scout out. Let's speed this up a bit. Okay, so he sets down the frames first. Now, something that you might not notice him doing here is he's got the three stables going down. But what he's going to do before this villager even comes out, he's going to create the frames for the next three buildings, and he's going to put them all around his villagers. And um, yeah, so like I said, I've said it before, we want 4 stables, 6 barracks, 6 ranges, somewhere in that number. You know, sometimes you want to have, sometimes you add more barracks, sometimes you add more ranges, but it usually doesn't matter. Just that's like a solid number. So, anyways, he's got 3 stables. He wants to build the stables first, so he's going to add another stable and 2 barracks. So let's see here. So right here, he just added this stable here with this villager. But what he does is he makes a frame and then he instantly clicks back to the building here. That way the villager doesn't stop building this stable. All right. So you do the same thing again. You'll see a villager just move just a little bit, maybe. Bam. Moves just a little bit. Oh, this is, yeah. You kind of had him going there a little bit longer, but it's okay. So now he's got 2 more barracks. You just do it like this because it saves you time later, because it's not like you can really do anything else at this time, right? The scout's going out, it's not doing anything. I mean, you could look at the map, right? But you can look at the map now too, right before this villager comes out. And so now we got this 4th villager coming out. So what he's going to do now is he's going to take either one of these 2 villagers and he's going to build the rest of his buildings. And this was the first building method I was talking about, where you just use one villager to build the rest. So I think it actually would be smarter for him to build with this villager because it's farther from the town center. I actually almost always build with the new villager, but now that I think about it, it's definitely smarter to build with one that's furthest from the town center. So let's see what he does. Oh, and sure enough, he does the same thing as I do. He taught me how to do this, so maybe I just got that from him. But it would be a bit better if he used this one. So what he's doing now is he's going to add the rest of his buildings. So again, we want to add barracks first, then ranges. So what he's going to do is he's adding barracks here and 2 more, and so he's going to add 7 total, right? And then he's going to add the ranges. And ranges going up. And again, they're all with his 4th villager. He's adding all the frames with the 4th villager. He did add a market here, which isn't something you'll have to worry about right now. That's something a little bit more advanced. But yeah, notice how he just adds pretty much all the buildings with one villager. Now, on the other side, I don't think Jibda actually did it this game, but I do see him do it some games, where he basically does what you do in the beginning, where you have one villager build a building next to it, except he does that with all of his buildings. And you might ask, like, why does he do that? It's because then you can have buildings that are closer to your villagers, like more consistently, and I think it's like a little bit better defensively because of that. And you probably build the buildings faster if you can do it efficiently because all the buildings are close to the villagers. That means that, the villagers aren't going to have to walk as far and the buildings can go up faster. So again, what you're just going to do there is, you would just build the buildings behind it, and then, after these villagers start to go to work on the barracks and the stables behind them, then you just do the same thing. You set up barracks here, you click on the building, you set up barracks there, click on the building, set up barracks there, click on the building, and then once all the barracks are done, then you do ranges and so forth. Um, so I think it's a little bit easier if you're newer to just do it this way, the way True does it, where you just lay down almost all the buildings with the fourth villager. But it could be a little bit. I kind of, think that maybe it could be a bit better to do it the other way, just in terms of the efficiency of it. But don't get too wrapped up in that. Just choose one. I would definitely recommend if you're a beginner, do it the way True did. So, but um, but yeah, don't forget 2 barracks and 1 stable. Again, it's not the most important thing in the world, but it'll definitely help you out. Because if you forget the 2 barracks and extra stable before that fourth villager comes out, and you make 4 barracks and 6 ranges, then you're going to be short 2 barracks and a stable. So just don't forget that. And yeah, so that's all I want to talk about for the building technique. Let me just check something really quick here. Oh man. The other thing I wanted to talk about was rating technique, and I may have talked about this briefly in the other video, but I kind of just wanted to reinforce it in this video as well. And that's when you're raiding with the paladins and the hussar, don't invest too much time in trying to find the villagers and killing them, because ultimately the most important thing is going to be to make sure you're queuing up units at your own base. The whole point here, the main goal here in this beginning phase here is to mass military and to prevent the other guy from massing military. And I would say that it's easier to not mass your own military than it is to prevent them from massing theirs. It's a lot easier to defend and mass army than it is to, do a very good attack and prevent them. So you want to focus more on queuing the units, but you definitely don't want the paladins to die for nothing. So again, what you need to do is, and I'll just fast forward here to show what True does. But you want to attack the villager, and I suspect he's probably not even going to do anything with this hussar after the villager garrisons. So he didn't do it. I don't think he actually did anything here. I think the hussar just retargeted the villager. But the hussar dies. He could sit there and like attack different village, try to do that, but that's not really going to do anything because Jidba's like just, Jidba's already looking at this point of view, so it makes it easy for him to just defend and then queue units. Whereas for True, it's a lot more difficult because if the stable's finishing at home, he has to go all the way back and do that. So don't waste your time raiding like that. Just attack a villager, and if you have time, run the scout away if it's getting attacked by another unit. Alright, so you see Jidbut using the True doing the 6 paladins here, sending them out. For some reason it's lagging. Oh, it's lagging. Again, let's look at True's. He's got those waypoints set. And he doesn't even have the 4th stable set, because usually the stable doesn't even create a paladin by the time the next 3 are sent out, so you probably don't even have to waste time rallying. Alright, so here the paladins come out, and, he wasn't looking there, I don't think, but, the other thing is that the first 3, you can, I don't know if he actually missed these here, but even if he did, you can send the first 3 to the back of the base, and the units are going to chase this one, and then you're going to have another one coming right behind it. And so if this one clears out all the units out here, then this one basically gets a free shot at these villagers. So maybe it's a better idea to just let the first ones go to the back instead of like trying to target here. Because if you target here and all the other units are going to stay here, they're going to kill them quicker. But if you run, then you have a better chance for your second wave of paladins to kill the villagers up front. So just like here, he's killing the villagers. But look, he's not really getting some bills here, and it's freaking lagging. What happens when you have old recordings? Alright, I don't don't know if these are extra. I think these are extra paladins. Yeah, these are extra. It's kind of strange. You'll probably notice here he'll just run these to the corner. Maybe. Or not. He's not gonna do anything with them. Here he goes. Here he runs this one to the corner. So again, this is what you want to do. You have like 5 units chasing. There's no point in. There's really no point in trying to kill a villager at this point. All the buildings are already built, so. And we got 10 units following. Now Jidba has to like move all these units again. So. Bum, bum, bum. See, so yeah. All right. And it's gonna be cost effective there too, because look at True's following up with a rush, right? He's following up with a rush here, and if all these units right here were up in this area, he would have no chance with this rush, and he probably still doesn't have any chance with this rush. But you know, that's what I'm saying is that like, yeah, it's kind of worth it. I was gonna say one more thing. Oh yeah, so something I didn't cover in my last video was how you should like defend. And I think there's really there's three ways you could try to go about defending. One, which I don't think is super effective, but a lot of people do it, and that's like when you make your barracks and stuff like that and you're queuing units up, you just set the rally point for all the buildings to the same spot, and they all just queue up in front. I don't think that's very effective because, like, I mean, it's good when the other player doesn't raid you, but what happens is when they have paladins coming on the side and all your helbs are rallying up here, it kind of makes it a pain to defend. So that sucks, but so that's one way you could do it. Just do it here and then have to like run your units back. One thing that I usually do is, and this can make it a little bit harder to push out, after the raid, but I just don't even set a waypoint on the barracks, and the helps just kind of spawn around the barracks, and that kind of gives it a nice like uniform distribution of halberdiers across your base, right? If you have like some barracks over here and some barracks over here, excuse me, and the helbs are spawning around the barracks. Well, if the paladin runs through here, I mean, these helbs here are going to chase it. If it runs to the back here, there's going to be helbs back here. So I just don't even set the waypoint. I set the waypoint on like the stable because I think the paladins can kind of get a bit bulky and I feel like they block uh, pathways a little bit too much, but whatever. Cavalry archers don't really matter because you won't even have them when they're raiding yet. So, but yeah, helbs. The last thing you can do is you can like rally your helbs. So you can kind of just like pick them and then put them into the trenches of the buildings, which is also like I think that's more advanced for sure. And I don't know how effective it is. I would assume it'd be pretty effective, but can't be for sure because I don't ever really do it. But yeah, so anything else I'm missing? Yeah, that's just it for about the first couple minutes, first 4 minutes or so. Um, yeah, eventually what you're gonna want to do, I might make a continuation, another video beyond this, just from the feedback of better players on this one, like stuff I forgot. So look forward to that. But otherwise, next we're gonna start talking about kind of setting up town centers, setting up castles, and starting to kind of move units across the map to establish map control. So like here you can already see, you know, Jidba has got a paladin over in this area kind of defending this hill here, this relic, right? So anyways, hopefully you guys have found these videos helpful and the ideas, the ideas helpful. Um, yeah. Alrighty, well, I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.